The venting of gaseous oxygen is in full flow 2/3 of the way up the rocket. You're looking at the nominal venting of gaseous oxygen out of the core stage.
Can you hear me all right? Okay, bet. Bet that, bet that, bet that. Just checking my sounds. Oh my god.
YouTube TV has no hidden fees and includes unlimited DVR space. YouTube TV, try it free.
As I'm in the midst of applying for residency right now, wish me luck, Grammarly has again been a lifesaver with my application.
Yeah, get him out. What do you mean the power trying to come back on? The fuck? Dumbass nigga.
Oh, my ears!
Oh, that's so funny actually.
Now!
Marvel has some really beautiful shots, with some amazing visual effects. I'm a fan of both DC and Marvel, but I can safely say that Marvel CG is leagues better than anything I've seen from DC movies. Which is why it's so disappointing when Marvel puts out movies with awful CG. I'm not a CGI expert or anything. I'm not even sure how CGI works most of the time, but I do have eyes, and I can see that so much of the CGI in Phase 3 and Phase 4 Marvel movies are either really lackluster or just painfully obvious CGI, which makes me wonder why these movies are getting nominated for Oscars and why they're being praised for using unnecessary blue screens. Marvel CGI has declined, and I think it's something that should be criticized, not praised. One of the major reasons Marvel's CG looks so poor is because there's so much of it. And too much CG isn't a bad thing. Big-scale fantasy and sci-fi movies like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings rely heavily on CGI, since most of the worlds, characters, and technology in these movies don't actually exist. But the problem with recent Marvel movies is that there's no balance between practical effects and computer-generated effects. Take a look at these behind-the-scenes screen caps. For No Way Home, they blue-screened a party. And you could argue that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, they didn't want so many unmasked people in one room. But they did the same thing for Black Widow. Here, they used a blue screen for a bar. They couldn't drive 10 meters to the nearest bar and film there. Black Widow was filmed in 2019, long before the pandemic. And in Spider-Man Far From Home, they CG'd Nick Fury's gun. There's no excuses for that. It's like they're just using CG because they have it, not because it serves any actual purpose to the movie.
Facts.
It's like how Henry Cavill's mustache was edited out in Justice League.
What?
Why go through such unnecessary effort? We don't need to use CGI for every single little thing. Practical effects hold up so much better, and they're less likely to get dated. Take a look at this scene from Jurassic Park. T-Rex looks so real. This movie was from 1993, back when most CG looked like this. For the T-Rex effects in Jurassic Park, the studio built 2 life-size animatronics, one of them 37 feet long. The effort pays off because the effects for Jurassic Park still hold up well even 30 years later. And take a look at this clip from The Dark Knight.
He missed!
The truck flip was completely real, all done without CGI. And look at this scene from Terminator 2 with commentary from the director, James Cameron.
Here it gets interesting. You see this helicopter going under a freeway overpass?
Yeah.
That's a helicopter going under a freeway overpass. The crew...
That was real?
The camera crew said, we won't shoot that. So I said, okay, fine, I'll shoot it myself.
Obviously, a stunt like this is really dangerous, so it's understandable if a director opts for CGI instead. But there should be a balance between practical effects and computer-generated effects. I think practical effects should always be the go-to for movies. CG should only be used when practical effects are either impossible or unsafe. Practical effects take a lot more time, effort, and money, but it's worth it because it feels real. And even though practical effects take a long time, so does good CGI. The more unnecessary CGI that Marvel adds to their movies, the more strain it puts on animators to do all these effects in such a short amount of time. Instead of letting animators put all their focus on making a few really good CG effects, they have to rush their work and make tons of poor quality CG. Poor visual effects pulls the audience out of the believability of the story. It reminds them that they're watching a movie, that the movie isn't real, which is never a good thing. In earlier movies, Marvel kept their CGI to a minimum. Granted, the stories weren't as expansive as they are now. The original Iron Man didn't have to fight aliens on strange planets after all. But still, Iron Man's suit looks so much cooler in his original movies than it does in Infinity War. That's because, in the first Iron Man, his suit was partly real, a combination of practical effects and CGI. Take a look at this Iron Man. And now, look at this Iron Man.
You throw another moon at me.
Iron Man's suit is almost completely CGI, and it shows. Far From Home is probably the biggest offender of unnecessary CG. When I was watching the movie, I was so sure they filmed the whole thing in a studio, because none of it looked real to me. I was shocked to find out that they actually went to Venice to film some of these scenes. Why go through all the trouble of flying to Venice if you're not going to use the setting to its full potential? I get that for the heavy action, they might have to use green screens, but why use it for scenes where the actors are just talking to each other? Why does the background have to be fake? We could have had Peter and MJ walking through a Venice that looked like this. Instead, we had a cloudy, ugly, knockoff Venice. Computer-generated technology has improved a lot over the decades. When I first saw Avatar as a kid, I was...
Okay, I get it. Grace and Auspice. Next.
The legendary A10 Warthog arrives in the War Thunder online action game. The sound of a 7-barreled gun.
This video was made possible by CuriosityStream. Watch thousands of high-quality documentaries and get access to my streaming service Nebula using the link in the description. In November 1971, 2 Israeli fighter jets raced to intercept an unidentified aircraft. The F-4 Phantoms are among the fastest fighter jets in the world, but they're not fast enough because they're chasing a MiG-25, a plane that can fly so fast and high it can outrun any fighter or air defense system. For nearly a decade, the Soviet Union's MiG-25 will remain a complete mystery and leave Western intelligence scrambling for answers. In the opening years of the Cold War, a new kind of weapon emerged, the intercontinental bomber, an aircraft with enough range to reach nearly any part of the world to deliver a nuclear strike. America's first intercontinental bomber not only flew further, it flew higher and faster than any bomber before it, making it extremely difficult to intercept. And it started a decades-long trend of building strategic bombers that flew ever higher and faster. The Soviet Union responded by building increasingly capable fighter interceptors to try and stop them. But by the late 1950s, Soviet intelligence had learned that the Americans were developing a new state-of-the-art bomber that would fly so high and fast, it would render the entire Soviet Air Force virtually obsolete. The XB-70 was so cutting-edge that only a few years earlier it would have been impossible to build. But the Americans were aiming to have the bomber ready in just a few short years. For Soviet leadership, a sense of panic set in. As the largest country in the world, there were over 22 million square kilometers of airspace to guard, and at any moment, American bombers could emerge from the north, or from bases in the east, or NATO-allied countries in the west. And only a handful of supersonic bombers would be enough to overwhelm air defenses. The Soviet Union would have just a few short years to design and build a new interceptor to match the incredible performance of the upcoming B-70. It would have to be as fast as Soviet ingenuity could make it, and developed in record time. But to effectively guard the country's enormous airspace, they'd also need to mass-produce the new jet by the hundreds. The MiG-25 was the Soviet Union's answer, an interceptor that would overcome the odds with brute force. To catch the XB-70, engineers would need to equip the MiG with enormously powerful engines, but there wouldn't be time to develop new ones. Instead, they'd make do with a turbojet originally built to power cruise missiles and reconnaissance drones. They were the largest engines ever put on a fighter, but they were essentially disposable. It meant that initial versions of the MiG had engines with a service life of just 150 hours. At intercept speeds, the MiG-25 would have to withstand serious kinetic heating, with some parts reaching 300 degrees Celsius. But lightweight, heat-resistant titanium was just too difficult to produce on a mass scale. So engineers built the jet largely out of heavy nickel-steel alloy, a material that could be quickly welded together and easily repaired at even the most remote and ill-equipped airbase. But it meant that the more than 40,000-pound jet could never be maneuverable, a characteristic considered irrelevant for its mission. To spot enemy bombers, the MiG-25 was equipped with a colossal 600-kilowatt radar, designed to detect high-flying aircraft up to 100 kilometers away and burn right through their jamming devices. And it would need only one kind of weapon, 4 of the largest air-to-air missiles ever produced. Along with the interceptor, there would also be a dedicated reconnaissance version, with powerful surveillance cameras, increased range, and an even higher service ceiling. Some versions could even be equipped for high-altitude bombing. But the vast majority of MiG-25s would be built as dedicated interceptors. Mass production began in 1969, and at one point, 100 MiG-25s were rolling off assembly lines every single month.
That's wild.
The MiG-25 would fly higher and faster than any combat jet in history, and it would have a profound effect on the Cold War, just not in the way the Soviets were expecting.
We know you're hovering over that button, but we need your help. We have a better button, we promise. Right on time. Not bright enough.
In 1967, the Soviet Union put on a massive air show, and they made sure the Americans were watching. The event was even broadcast in English for Western audiences. The Soviets unveiled several new aircraft for the very first time, but they saved the best for last. In the final 10 minutes, 3 prototype MiG-25s were sent roaring past the audience. It was the first time anyone outside the Soviet Union would see the new aircraft. And for Western intelligence, it set off alarm bells. The grainy footage revealed an aircraft with all the hallmarks of an agile fighter. The unusually large wings suggested extreme maneuverability. Enormous air intakes hinted at massive engines, and experts suspected the use of advanced lightweight titanium. But what worried them the most was that the plane looked eerily similar to concepts for America's next-generation air superiority fighter, a jet that wouldn't be ready for another 10 years. In Washington, military planners struggled to understand how the Soviets could have leapfrogged so far ahead, because only a few months later, the Soviet Union started registering incredible new records for speed and altitude. And the media soon caught wind, spreading fears that the mysterious new jet could outperform anything built by the West. The U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff even publicly admitted that for the first time, the Soviets had a jet that the United States couldn't match. The perceived threat motivated the U.S. to drastically increase performance targets for its next-generation fighters. But for years, the Americans were desperate for any information they could get. They'd catch another glimpse in 1971 when Israeli radar controllers began tracking MiG-25s over the Sinai Peninsula. The jets were clocked flying at more than 2.5 times the speed of sound and at an altitude of over 20 kilometers. At one point, they even tracked one of the MiGs accelerating beyond Mach 3. But the jets flew so high and fast, no fighter in the world could catch them. For over a decade, the MiG-25 remained a mystery and continued to worry Western intelligence. But that was about to change in the most dramatic way possible. On September 6, 1976, the Soviet Union's most secretive jet showed up seemingly out of nowhere over northern Japan. It then made a dramatic crash landing at a sleepy commercial airport, nearly colliding with an airliner and skidding right off the end of a runway. It was the first time anyone in the West would see a MiG-25 in person, and as curious onlookers gathered, no one seemed to know where it had come from or how it got there. Piloting the MiG was 29-year-old Lieutenant Viktor Bilyenka. He was quickly taken into custody, where he explained that he escaped the Soviet Union to seek asylum in the United States.
Wow.
Disillusioned with life in the Soviet Union and harsh conditions at his airbase, Bilyenka had planned his escape for months. While on a training exercise over the Sea of Japan, he reported engine trouble, giving him a chance to fall back from his group. Bilyenka then descended low enough to evade radar detection.
Wow.
Once out of Soviet airspace, he set course for the nearest Japanese airbase. But with limited fuel and difficulty navigating, he was forced to find the nearest airport. Bilyenka was well aware that his MiG-25 was a prized possession, and he provided invaluable information to Western intelligence, who shipped his MiG to a nearby airbase to examine every inch of it. And they were in for a shock of a lifetime. The MiG-25 obviously wasn't the agile fighter they were expecting. Its heavy stainless steel airframe severely limited maneuverability, and the large wings were needed just to keep the jet airborne. The engines, while powerful enough to exceed Mach 3, couldn't sustain those speeds without permanent damage, meaning the practical limit was around Mach 2.8. The MiG's radar was powerful, but lacked look-down capability, meaning it couldn't track low-flying targets. The compromises that Soviet engineers were forced to make were now glaringly apparent. But they wouldn't have mattered much for intercepting a high-altitude supersonic bomber like the B-70. But the B-70 never made it into production. Instead, the Americans switched their tactics from high-speed, high-altitude to low-altitude radar and defense-evading aircraft, leaving Western intelligence perplexed as to why the MiG-25 was produced in such large numbers. The only other aircraft the interceptor would potentially have to guard against were a handful of reconnaissance aircraft. The same media that had once stoked fears about a Soviet superplane now openly mocked the MiG-25 as a crudely built machine that was more or less useless in combat, an inferior aircraft that proved that the Soviets were behind in technology. Bilyenka's defection outraged Soviet leadership, who demanded that he return to the Soviet Union along with the stolen MiG. Instead, Belyanka was granted American citizenship, while his MiG was sent back to the Soviet Union in dozens of pieces. The Americans had learned everything there was to know about the MiG-25, and they now understood critical components of the Soviet air defense system. With the MiG-25 so thoroughly compromised, Soviet engineers had to work around the clock to modernize the aircraft, equipping the MiG-25 with more powerful and reliable engines, a more sophisticated look-down radar, and the ability to field a wider range of missiles. Meanwhile, older versions of the jet, no longer a closely guarded secret, were exported to other countries. In all, nearly 1,200 MiG-25s were produced. But more than 50 years later, the MiG-25 is still the fastest fighter jet ever built, an aircraft that would set 29 world records. In 1977, a MiG-25 climbed to an incredible altitude of 123,000 feet, setting a record that still stands today. Although the aircraft had been built to intercept high-altitude bombers, downgraded export versions even saw moderate success in combat. But by the late 1970s, the Soviet Union had moved on. Development of a next-generation interceptor was well underway, a jet that would have cutting-edge avionics, sophisticated engines, and a radar and weapon control system so advanced it could engage multiple targets simultaneously from 100 kilometers away and even link with other fighters to coordinate an attack, in the process instantly upgrading the capabilities of older Soviet fighters. Where the MiG-25's design was about brute force, the new MiG-31 would use the state-of-the-art to become the world's most formidable interceptor. You can learn more about the MiG-31's brilliant engineering in my latest video, now on Nebula. Nebula is where you can watch a growing number of my exclusive videos, like a bizarre proposal that would have seen the MiG-25 turned into a supersonic business jet. Nebula is where YouTube's top educational creators upload new videos every day, and where you can enjoy videos without advertisements or sponsor messages. The best part about Nebula is that it's free when you sign up for CuriosityStream, a streaming service with thousands of big-budget award-winning documentaries. A recent favorite of mine is Armstrong, a beautiful documentary narrated by Harrison Ford that follows the incredible life of Neil Armstrong, from his early days in the Navy to his daring career as a test pilot and astronaut and his eventual landing on the moon. Get unlimited access to both CuriosityStream and Nebula for less than $2 a month by going
Let's see how bad the CGI is.
Stream 85 plus live channels with no hidden fees. YouTube TV. Try it free.
Chasing that A and want to save time on proofreading? Grammarly makes editing one click simpler.
Simpler even?
Being a Hulk asks for balance.
Commotion, we causing a commotion.
easy.
Little punk.
So I'm clearly nailing it at all of these things. When am I ever going to use
so
this
bad.
as a lawyer?
Jen, when you have powers like this, it's like putting a target on your back and the backs of all the people you care about.
Oh, cool. Yet another way my life is ruined. Thanks, Bruce.
All right. All I've been doing is showing you the downsides of being a Hulk, but there are a few upsides. Our bodies metabolize alcohol at an incredibly fast rate, which means that we can drink so much and not get drunk. All buzz, no barf.
That's good.
Oh god.
Wow! Jesus, what the hell, man?
Still in control, no overwhelming feelings of rage.
No, a normal amount of rage.
You do revert back to Gen form when you sleep.
Was the air horn really necessary?
For comedy, absolutely. This is a multi-year journey you're about to embark on. Yeah. Who's your best friend?
Nikki.
Spandex. Spandex is your best friend. Being a Hulk asks for balance. You have so much more to learn. Yes!
So I'm clearly nailing it at all of these things.
If you want to go back to life as a lawyer, I respect that.
He doesn't mean that.
More and more eccentric superhumans are coming out of the woodwork. We're going to launch a division for them. And I want the She-Hulk to be the face of it.
Jennifer Waters. Namaste.
I have a serious conflict of interest. This man tried to kill my cousin, Bruce.
Yeah, that's quite all right.
Oh. People only care because I'm representing Emil Blonsky.
I think they care because they're like, hey, that girl's green.
Jen, do your thing.
God, I really like this outfit.
I'm not proud of this.
Miss Walters, we answer to a higher power. Our universe is on the edge of a precipice.
I am a lawyer. We do things by the book.
The Book of Ashanti.
No, the Book of American Laws.
Whether you like it or not, you're now a superhero.
Let's do this. You know that friend you had in high school who was way cooler than you were, attractive, got all the attention from everyone? Hello.
I think I'm jealous. Is that what I'm feeling?
Eh. It's, yeah. I guess you play a game. Let me do this first. Oh. I will be right back. Had to put on a sweatshirt. Excuse me. Oh, look, it's me. Cancel and play offline. Whoa. Nice. Dude, this is like, I think I played like 30 minutes of this game, but it sure looks interesting. Here we go.
My name is Ajit Singh. I'm Seneca's lead engineer. Is that okay?
Come on in. Welcome to the garage. Now this is our new baby. Beltra Icon Mark III, but with a few upgrades. Full electric drive, active suspension, repositioned fuel cells. Look, you can see most of the weight is down here in the chassis. And this one, this is an old friend from last season. Jupiter San Marino.
I got this job by betting Marcus Addo I could make an old Eagle Ray Mark IV run faster than the Type 8. And I did it in under a week. Now I work on anything with an engine and a roll cage. Touring cars, muscle cars, open wheel. If it's good legal, I can build it to win. Challenge is finding someone who can drive them all.
Yeah.
Raising the team's acclaim through the roof. As cool as Manton is, though, he will not be giving an inch out there. And with Seneca starting in the faster cars, it'll be intense wait to launch into the race and hunt down the pack.
Little Red Bull action.
finish in the top 7. Good luck.
We've got the cars to match faults. Let's put the pressure on.
Oh god. Oh god. Yeah, I mean first. Am I driving? Okay. Let's get it.
Going into lap 2.
Traffic, don't be off, man. Don't put your hand up. Oh, brakes, please.
Time last lap was a 1:00.9.
Sorry, guys. Let's go. Money in the bank. Some money in the bank. Cost what? Hey, yo. spun out. The game feels fun. Feels I mean, I feel like a lot of games, a lot of racing games should do this. Build the stakes up, like, because even though like maybe the dialogue isn't the best writing, but
Yeah. All right. Be great. I hope I don't say anything stupid. Don't record anything stupid, yeah? What's your name? Tom. Tom. Lovely to meet you. Tom. You all right, dear? Tom? Okay,
Yeah.
let's get this started. Hi, I'm Valentin Manzi, and I'm a 10-time grid world champion. I'm just kidding. I've never actually won. I've come close, though.
oh, what? That was weird. I was about to say something. I was gonna say it makes you like.
A difficult result for Seneca 22 there.
Heard the new driver broke the tail off that Dumont.
Yeah, still haven't nailed down that new braking system yet.
Are you on board with this? Bringing in some amateur this close to the start of the season.
You were some amateur until Ada hired you.
Thought you had a Dumont to fix.
Seneca number 22 and Valentin Manzi really can't seem to stop clashing out on the track. Will they have settled their differences, or will they be at war once again?
Driving. No, that's. Uh oh.
Valentin Manzi is your direct rival this race. Finish before him.
Oh,
maybe stay
yo!
out for step half. Don't get taken out. Your rival is more than 10 places ahead of you.
No, I need to know. Did he fuck up my car? Oh, he cut my car. This is put me in Barry R.
Seneca number 22 and Valentin.
You need to be Valentin Manzi for us to be on course.
I'm actually baffled.
You're on pace. Make some gains on lap 2. Your time last lap was a 45.4.
Off.
Your last lap time was a 45.1.
Good drive, 22.
Thank you, Tanaka.
Seneca continue to impress. This new combination of drivers looks to be in serious competition with Moss. I've been hearing paddock gossip that Seneca's Yume Tanaka is starting to really push a new teammate to race harder. Maybe we'll see the two race each other out there.
Okay, 22. See if you can finish before you may.
Okay. As long as you don't take each other out of the race.
Don't worry. I think we are both professionals, Marcus.
Nice work on the first lap. You're in second place. Time last lap was a 1:20.8. Just ahead of them. Your teammate is sitting in the pack.
You can flash at people. That's pretty funny.
Alright, I'll take back what I said about the Dumont. Well raised, 22.
Let's go. Let's go. We'll do this race and then we'll do multi after this one. I was gonna do multi, but
Panorama in the rain, overcast weather, stunning, absolutely sensational. Work with you in the chase vaults. Say less. You got spectators in the rain just holding it down. Appreciate you guys. Our pro season. Finished 5th or higher.
You hear that? Well and truly on the Volts radar. Don't be surprised if Mandy takes it up a notch. Good luck.
Yeah. Line up. Sirski, Seneca team. Valentine Manzi.
Tough conditions out here. Don't take risks today if you can help it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Let me in. You're what, 3 wide? Good shot. Yo, hey yo, watch your jet, bro. The boat's effects. Bro.
Told you it was tough. Sadie LeBlanc just lost control.
Yikes. Hate to see it. Oof, nice pop. Oh yeah. Now we're in it. What's up, Yumi? Fuck the rest. I'm going in. Oh, I love this track. That section is literally one of my favorites. Oh, what do it turn? Bye-bye. Oh, this is sick.
lap was a 2:31.7. Your teammate is in second right now. You are 2 positions ahead of them.
Oh, look at that dirty air. That's crazy. She doesn't have a trunk. Yo, what happened to you, G? Let's go this.
Well done, 22. Good race.
That was such a cool race. Yeah, look at that. That's what teammates do. GG's.
So it's now becoming clear that this Seneca driver has some real chops.
Oh yeah, I do.
Doing well across a few races is not the same as doing well across the whole range of the grid.
Fuck you.
Well, we're giving Volts a run for the money, aren't we?
And Marcus Ado is under enormous pressure to deliver a good result this season.
I agree. We can't keep it out. None of it matters.
Here's the grim reality. Either Seneca delivers magic this season, or they won't survive as a team.
No, it's not optimism, it's faith. Try it sometime.
It looks like you mate Tanaka is in a strong position to get the lion's share of the points today. Though number 22 won't be relaxing and will be on the hunt too.
Stay in the fight. See, I want to race some line. See what we can get into. Get involved. Have some barrier, some carnage. You know how it be motorsport. How many shits are there? I Dios mío, bro. 36. And I'm at 11? Bruh. No one's playing this game. Oof. Rocking the Camaro. Excuse me. Oh no. Oh no, I knew it. Uh-oh, I'm stuck. Yo, get in there.
That last lap was a 1:29.9.
Yo.
I think if you're alive and you have any kind of energy going at all, I think things kind of naturally evolve.
Drift? What's drift? Oh, they got all the get rights.
Things kind of naturally evolve.
What the hell is this? What the hell is this thing? Bro, there ain't no way. Am I host? Shut up.
I would think that after a while I would want to do something like that too.
You've got 2 laps.
That's Yo, watch your jet, bro.
Let's rein it in. You push them over the edge there.
Who the hell was it? Who was it? It was that dude.
Final lap, come on. You don't want last place.
spinning out? Increase the level of your assist in the difficulty settings. Only Muppets would do that.
Man, let me call my boy DJ Screw up. See what my partner up to. Boy about to sit and get this on some shit.
So my controller stopped working. I'm like actually confused. I'm baffled. Oh, so it's